Host Eric, host of Talking with Fan People. Needless to say, I just got up. Rachel and I have plans to go to Los Angeles today. We'll see if we actually end up making it. But I'll tell you this much. I'm really happy with our floor lamps that we got yesterday in the mail, and I put together and put where they're supposed to go. One of them right there, one of them over there. And it's so much nicer now in here. So as you may or may not know, about 8 days ago, I started a Coinbase account and invested a total of $1,000 in cryptocurrency. I'm currently down $6. My total amount of money that I have in Coinbase is $9.94 now. It was up as high as almost $1,100, but then it went back down again. So, you know, cryptocurrency, what are you gonna do? It's very volatile. But I have a little bit of the hodl mindset. Big yawns for little Eric. On the plus side, I don't even need you guys to help me poop this morning because I already pooped first thing before I even started the stream, which is very unusual, obviously. Normally, if I'm going to poop, it requires live streaming to push it from my butt, you know. Something about live streaming pushes poop out my butt. I'm not sure exactly what it is. The man with the great machete says Mondays are for winners. Oh. I was thinking Mondays might be for lovers, but maybe it's for winners. I like that. Winning's probably more productive than loving. I've heard that Virginia is for lovers. Have you heard that, the man with the great machete? Because I've heard that before. So I guess if you're in Virginia on a Monday, you're for double loving. You're in for a menage a trois. And boy, you want to talk about a dumb name for a wine. Menage a trois. I saw a commercial for a wine yesterday. It was called Menage a Trois. Is the point of your wine that if you get drunk on it, you have a threesome? If so, why would anyone want to drink your wine? Oh, you're not local for the United States. Yeah, well, the reason I know Virginia is for lovers, because even though I live on the West Coast, I occasionally will see a Virginia license plate. Sometimes people from Virginia will drive across country, you know. And it says so right on their license plate. It says, Virginia is for lovers. Just like New Mexico's, I think it's New Mexico's, it might be Arizona though. It's either New Mexico or Arizona. License plates from there say Land of Enchantment. So, if you want to be a wizard, you should go to New Mexico, I guess. California's saying is the Golden State. We do have customized license plates too. Like my license plate says TWFP. But the different states, they all have their own saying, you know. Like Tennessee might be something like a country western state or something. Do you know, Winston's mom, what Tennessee's saying is? You know how Virginia is for lovers? Hi, beautiful Rachel. How are you this morning? I don't know if you heard the good news, but I've already pooped. So I'm way ahead of schedule. Tennessee is the land of meat and three? What in the world is that? Meat and three. Meat and three side dishes? I don't think that's its official saying, is it? Like I know Florida is the sunshine state. Texas is the Lone Star state. I believe Delaware is the volunteer state. It wasn't officially voted on until 2020? Golden Boy is an interesting anime, by the way. Check it out. You know, Tuesday's the worst day for anime, but Monday is also not a very good day for anime. Now, granted, I still haven't watched MF Ghost from yesterday. So I got that to look forward to. But I have a dream. It's probably just a fantasy. But this is my dream. That somehow, some way, Rachel will be up and ready to go and pooped by 10:30 a.m. Is that a pipe dream? Probably. Probably it is. But if we could do that, Mondays are for artichokes, says Chaos Fuel. Just let everybody know, remind everybody, my initial thought was that Monday was for lovers, like Virginia. But I've now learned that Mondays for winners and Mondays are for artichokes. So we've got several possibilities competing here. I like Mondays are for artichokes. That would be a good ad campaign for the Artichoke Advisory Committee. Did I burn my hair off accidentally with the torch? No, I clipped it with my barber's clippers. I'm pleased to announce that my ill-advised foray into barber clipping my junk, that the scrotum cut that I incurred accordingly is healed now. So that's nice. Don't ever try that, everybody. Don't try to use barber's clippers on your junk. Don't ever try it. It's a mistake. Yeah. You only do that one time, right? I just did it one time for the first time at age 52, just like 2 days ago. I only did it. That's the only time I will ever try that again, you know? Bad idea. Terrible idea. I thought, well, while I'm here, just cut my hair. I'm standing, naked in the bathroom. While I'm here, I might as well take advantage of this efficiency. No, no, no. I agree, Hero Lamb. I agree. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. If it's fine on my face, it should be fine on my junk, right? It's not. It's not. But I do not dispute your reasoning there, Hero Lamb. It is, in my mind, right on the money, your reasoning. That's why I attempted it. It should work the same, it seems like. But it doesn't. I think it's because even the most wrinkly face is not as wrinkly as your ball stack. It has maximum wrinkles of every part of your body combined. In fact, a man's scrotum may very well be nature's wrinkliest creation. Nature's wrinkliest creation. Thank you, Rachel. Likewise. Unfortunately, it was a short-term consequence. The man with the great machete. I didn't need to cut myself badly or multiple times to figure out that this is a bad idea. The bush cricket, tuberous bush cricket, has testicles that are 14% of their body weight. So I'm about 180 pounds. 10% would be 18 pounds. 15% would be 27 pounds. Call it 25-pound balls. If I had balls that were proportionally the same size as that cricket's balls, they would weigh 25 pounds. So they'd have to weigh like 5 more pounds than they do now. Howler monkeys with smaller balls tend to have louder and deeper vocal calls. INFJ love interest? Is that who we're talking about? We're talking about testicles, KE. If the word testicles makes you think INFJ love interest, well, sounds like you need to get laid. Money, you're onto something. Oh, well, I didn't see that tagging. I guess I'm not paying good enough attention. I deserve a harsh scolding. The majority of Greek statues of naked men nearly always feature a larger left testicle. That is fascinating. That is today I learned. I'll try to do better in the future, Kay. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Well, I think we can conclude here, Lamb, that the ancient Greeks that they made statues of were in good shape, right? Maybe they were just, you know, they were statue looksist. Most of who were secretly evil? The ancient Greeks or the INFJs? Well, I mean, philosophy is the most high impact sport of all. Rachel's not evil. Rachel's definitely not secretly evil. Corey may have a little bit of that going on, but it's specific to me for a lot of particularist reasons. I'm definitely not secretly evil. I'm lawful good. I'm lawful good, but it's according to universal laws, not specific laws. In your experience, those in your life have been conniving and backstabbing? Well, if you combine those two things, then they probably connived to backstab you. I would be absolutely shocked if Rachel turned out to be secretly evil. It would. almost inconceivable. But I do think that, the general rule of hurt people applies to every type. I think it's accurate. You might say it's reductive, but I don't really think it is. I tell you, it's definitely bullshit. I got a fair, like 6 comments, which is a lot for a live stream. On that live stream about Noam Chomsky. One of which quoted Winston's mom quoting Noam Chomsky as saying, propaganda is to the democracy as the bludgeon is to totalitarianism. Except that's an absolutely horrible analogy. So here I am doing what in this citizen democracy? I'm expressing the truth about politics. Freely, openly, available for the entire world to watch, hear, and see. The problem is I'm doing it so well that people don't like it. So the thing is, propaganda is not equivalent at all to a bludgeon, right? Propaganda is something that totalitarian societies engage in. Free societies like ours allow each individual to express themselves freely, as I am doing now. That's the difference between a free society and a totalitarian one. Noam Chomsky could not be any more full of shit, right? He's just irresponsibly flailing around these stupid ass analogies that aren't even remotely accurate to compare the use of language to violence. It's silly. And in this case, totally, completely unrepresentative of reality. After all, is Noam Chomsky's propaganda a bludgeon? Or is he the only voice of sanity in this world of propaganda that we endure? I mean, just look at fucking reality for a second. You've got all these idiots out there seeking confirmation of their simplistic worldview to blame corporations for shit and finding it in Noam Chomsky and believing that they alone are the ones who can see through this propaganda, that there are no other voices of reason out there except mainstream media that brainwashes everybody. It's just fucking stupid and wrong. Not representative of reality at all. Right? I mean, that quote triggered me because it's so fucking stupid. You want to see what a totalitarian regime looks like? Go to North Korea, where there's both bludgeon and propaganda relentlessly. Then come back to America and reevaluate your assessment of actuality, Do you think the Mariposa Gazette is in the pocket of corporations? The newspaper I subscribe to and read? And where did I read an actually cogent analysis of homelessness that referenced the only factor in the discussion, namely the Supreme Court ruling that tied municipalities' hands? I read it in the Mariposa Gazette. Yeah, Noam Chomsky really winds my clock. I mean, he's so fucking irresponsible with his language, right? Propaganda in a democracy is not equivalent to a bludgeon in totalitarianism. propaganda is also a feature of totalitarianism. The alternative to propaganda is freedom of speech, which I'm exercising right now, and Noam Chomsky's exercising, and Cone Man's exercising, and we're all exercising. You can't even get it, the people here at talking with famous people to agree with each other about anything. So why could you possibly believe that the world, America, is filled with people who are brainwashed by propaganda while not believing yourself to be among them? And certainly is not any kind of monolithic unified propaganda. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this huge mass of people who think corporations are to blame for America's problems. After all, corporations are the ones who are purportedly engaging in the propaganda, right? Think, for fuck's sake. I'm sorry, does it trigger me when people are that horribly and stupidly wrong about shit? Yes. Be serious when you're talking about society and public policy and shit. It's for grown-ups, not babies. Like, pretending that you can blame everything on Boogeyman X is the death of democracy. If you excuse my extremist metaphor. The politics of blame, where simple minds try to tackle complex problems that are way out of their fucking league. What an irresponsible fucking analogy. I mean, and you can see in that example why he makes me so mad, right? That's wickedly irresponsible. Trying to just position things as though some narratives represent violence in a democracy, the equivalent of violence in a totalitarian society, when if you actually look at the narrative landscape, you see a whole wide, diverse fields of bullshit of all different kinds. Now, that doesn't mean that like intelligence agencies don't run information campaigns. They do. I believe 9/11 is a perfect example of that. The closest I've ever seen, though, to truly violent propaganda is the global response to COVID, ignoring Eric. Yet even then, I was never censored. People were just too dumb to listen to me. It's like people forget that other individual people, just like them, choose what media they consume. Think. Right? Other people, just like you, also choose the media they consume. If they're consuming shit that you deem propaganda, it's because they like the taste of it. Just like you do. I personally think it's fucking disgusting. But most of the media they consume is controlled by just three corporations. Well, then choose better media, shit face. It's like, watch this instead. Oh, I don't like watching this. It challenges my existing simplistic worldviews. Well, there you go, folks. It's not propaganda that's the problem, it's stupidity. And thus spoke Eric Slustra, wielding the truth like a mighty hammer of justice. Nobody can dispute anything I just said. It's so true, it just makes your asshole hurt. That's how true it is. It makes your anus ache with soreness. The truth is so powerful and dildo-like. Yeah, I'm on my high horse. Damn straight, this discussion is too general to shed any light. I'm specifically critiquing Noam Chomsky's insane analogy. It couldn't be any more specific than that. I'm actually critiquing something he actually said. Yeah, well, Zarathustra may have spake, but I spoke, okay? Because I know how to conjugate verbs correctly. Well, of course I'm on my high horse. It's like when you see things this clearly, and indisputably, what I just said is knock it out of the park. Clear explication should be convincing to anybody that what I'm saying is correct. And it doesn't matter how effectively or concisely you express yourself, people still don't listen. It gets a little frustrating. Well, now I'm mad again. Rachel's up. That's kind of nice. Are you staying up? Yeah, well, life's a bowl of chicken nuggets. You always know what you're going to get. Chicken nuggets. Life is like a bowl of chicken nuggets. You always know what you're going to get. More chicken nuggets. That's a good saying. That's a good rule of thumb for life. Much better than life is like a box of chocolates. Ask me a straight question. Okay. Thanks. I prefer straight questions over crooked ones. Oh. Would I eat a Smurf meat McNugget? I don't know. How do Smurfs taste? I guess no, because they're sentient. You shouldn't eat sentient creatures. Do I think there is a left in U.S. politics? I think the distinction between left and right as much creates the distinction as it does describe anything. People like to position themselves on one team or another. And unfortunately, that's just their way of avoiding the reality that you need to deal with every issue on its specific merits. You can't go in with an overall paradigm and expect to have any meaningful discourse about politics. So, do I think there are a large portion of people who identify as the left? Yes, I do. Do I think they represent a diverse set of political positions? Yes. I mean, the more team based you are in your thinking, the less you're qualified to be thinking about politics. I mean, Bernie Sanders had terrible ideas, right? You don't need to evaluate the man. You just need to evaluate his what he said. And things that he suggested as good ideas are terrible ideas predicated on a failure to look at the mechanics of things and stuff like that. So, was he a desirable candidate to elect? No, definitely not. But that's because of his bad ideas, not because of who he is or whether he's left or right or anything like that. The good thing is, we can evaluate the actual quality of specific ideas that people present and draw general conclusions about whether they're qualified to ideate in this field. So, since Bernie Sanders had such an incredibly terrible idea, publicly funded college for everybody, we can dismiss him as a candidate entirely. That makes no sense. It's predicated on the idea that a college degree is difficult and expensive to get, and that's why it has value in the marketplace, right? It loses all value in the marketplace when it becomes accessible to everybody. So um, he'd be killing the goose to get more golden eggs out of it, but he'd just get dead goose. That's the truth of the matter. So there's not any disputing that. That's how it works. That's how reality works, right? If everybody has a college degree, then it's not worth anything. And only some college degrees correlate to actual useful skills that generate actual wealth, etc. There's a lot of stuff to consider, but certainly the idea of the federal government funding all of that would just be a disastrous additional level of non-accountability that already mars all of education. So we certainly wouldn't want to do that. Competition, legitimate competition, the legitimate autonomy of individuals needs to be upheld as the primary value, right? That each of us has to be empowered to make the choices we want to make, to choose the life we end up having, to incur consequences when we make mistakes, those sort of things. Without preserving the integrity of that basic reality, then we lose a free and civil society. So that doesn't mean that that value must be upheld in all cases above all else. We also need to be pragmatic. you know, Politics is a world of realism. It's not simply a world of rights based calculi. You can't be dogmatic in any particular direction. You've got to be nuanced like I am. And unfortunately, there's almost nobody who approaches the question in the ways that I do. And that's to the detriment of us all. But that's reality. I generally removed myself from a lot of political discourse in recent years because it would seem I'm facing an impossible wall of of cherished wrongnesses, you know. If people were just wrong, it would be one thing, but they cherish their wrongnesses. They see them as part of their identity. They're not intentionally configured to be dispassionate about things, you know, to be disinterested in their calculi. But really, if you can look at it another way, their interest level isn't where it should be. My calculi are very interested in the sense that I care a lot about America, about a citizen democracy, about a free and civil society. I care a lot about that. So it makes it very difficult for me to engage in political discourse with people who either aren't operating under that frame. So in other words, we don't agree about what the general good is, or fail to actually calculate their advocacy positions under that frame. Not really taking into account what's good for America or the world or a free and civil society, but instead engaging in exactly the kind of boogeyman blaming that makes it increasingly difficult for a free and civil society to engage in political discourse. So, given that kind of catch-22, I find myself withdrawing from these conversations a lot. It's either that or get angry or sad, you know? Because I really do believe myself to be a patriot, and I'm winning all the arguments. I'm not winning them because I'm a good debater. I'm winning them because I'm right. I'm right about shit that matters. It matters to us all. And if I could develop the qualities of a leader and sell people on me rather than what I'm saying, I could probably do a lot of good in the world. It's a lot easier to get people to believe in you than it is to get people to calculate what you're saying. People primarily aren't deliberative, and even those that are, half the time, are subjectively deliberative. So, you know, probably if I were going to try to make a real difference in politics, the thing I have most going for me is my authenticity. It should be obvious to everybody that I'm not bullshitting to get votes, right? If nothing else, I'm not bullshitting. I'm not trying to schmooze you. I'm just telling the truth. And I'm telling the truth for the right reasons, because I'm genuinely a patriot. I love my country, and I love the free and civil society that empowers us all, and I'd like to see it preserved. But it's hard for me to make those kind of appeals, you know, to say, like, you can trust me because I'm motivated well. Because, in fact, that's not a good reason to trust somebody. I have no doubt that there are many horribly wrong, malignant ideologues in government who firmly believe they've got the country's best interest in mind, you know? What do you do about that? I mean, the only cure is adult dialogue like this, discourse like this, talking about politics in a meaningful way, talking about what's important, lamenting the fact that we don't have real adults having these conversations and hoping that there are a few other real adults out there, you know. And of course, the problem is, to be a real adult about politics, like I am, you kind of have to be a complete child about everything else. At least the two correlate in my instance. It doesn't bode well for society, you know? You get motivated idiots defeating unmotivated, correct people all the time. It's hard to be motivated to get my message out when it's so difficult to get people to listen to me. I mean, actually listen to me and evaluate what I'm saying, because what I'm saying so often is negationary, right? People much more want to hear how things are going to be fine than how their wrongness is a big part of the problem. But you know, at the end of the day, we've muddled through. The human race has, society has. I think most of the world was quite convinced the Earth right now would be the aftermath of a nuclear holocaust, and there wouldn't really be very many people left, if any. If you were to ask people during the Cold War, during the crazy post-World War II nuclear arsenal buildup that occurred, in which all kinds of nutty shit happened, they would have said, humanity is not going to make it to 2024. Well, we haven't quite made it there yet, but you know. Yet here we are, more empowered than ever, really. Speak our minds and do our things and etc. Moving towards a more just society with less incarceration for drug crimes and stuff. So it's my warning comes off on the 20th of December, Carlos Paiva. So you know, when you honestly assess the state of the world, you go, well, we've got forces of authoritarianism trying to disrupt, actively trying to disrupt the ways and means of a free and civil society. You've got Russia and China being genuine enemies to the freedom of everybody. But that's been the case since World War II. Yeah, they seem a lot more active now. And yeah, the U.S. is not positioned to dominate militarily in the way that it used to be. In other words, the U.S. is not capable any longer truly of functioning like a global hegemon. So it's complicated, you know? That's the thing. It's complicated. And it requires us to be grown up and make nuanced statements about things, you know? If we want to be a positive and contributing voice in the conversation. If we don't, then we can continue making wildly overwrought and simplistic statements. And that's what we want, apparently, so that's what we'll continue to do. And then we'll read books where other people say those things. Cone Man told me the other day in a comment that I needed to read more books. Cone Man, I've read more. Believe me, I have read so much in my life. For an ENTP, I don't know if it's true for other types, but for me anyway, specifically, I went through what I consider appropriate phases in my life, you know? I went through long phases of learning. I went through phases of competition testing ideas as a debate coach. I went through other phases of learning, and now I'm where I am now. You know, I've got a lifetime's worth of knowledge to draw from, a lifetime's worth of experience actually testing that knowledge in real ways. So I've also got a lifetime's worth of disinterested calculi behind me. In other words, dispassionately dispatching bad ideas from my repertoire. There really aren't any left. But people don't want to hear that. Still, it's like I can't stop saying the truth without sacrificing the one value I can really cling to and put out there as a reason to believe me, which is authenticity, you know? I'm not in the habit of hiding what I think and feel at all. I'm not a poker player. What you see is what you get. What you hear is what you get. And what you hear is the truth. Unfortunately, it's not a lot of positive truth, right? It's generally negationary. And I don't know what to do about that. People keep dangling wrongnesses in front of me. What am I going to do? It's like, I was born with sticks in both hands. If you dangle a piñata in front of me, it's going to get whacked. But people don't like having their piñatas whacked. In fact, I would say it's fair to say they actively dislike it when I whack their piñatas. I don't blame them. I understand. They're like, look at my beautiful piñata. I'm just like, whack, whack, whack. Now look at your beautiful piñata. It's all in pieces on the ground. It was filled with piping hot flan. Yeah, well, I understand why people don't like that. But you know, I'm a piñata hitter. I was born a piñata hitter. I'll die a piñata hitter. What are piñatas for, if not to be hit? Are you supposed to take them to bed with you? Cuddle them? No. Not when it's filled with piping hot flan. It's a bad idea. It's a good way to get burns in bed. Noam Chomsky, more like Noam Chomsky. You get a Wonder Point money for that horrible pun. Yeah, sure. Sure, I agree. At least then I can attack other candidates rather than the average person that I talk to. That would be a better approach, probably. Work a little bit better. It's bad because kids might end up hitting other kids thinking candy will come out of them. Well, they'll be surprised here, Lamb, when what actually comes out of them is piping hot flan. I I agree that that is true, Cone Man 3. It makes me very sad. There are also numerous academics who disagree with him entirely. But unfortunately for both of us, that's not a good way to evaluate anything. Let's see. Uh, appeal to authority fallacy is what that is. So we don't want to engage in that. That's about as textbook an appeal to authority fallacy as you're going to see. I mean, you'd literally see that as an example in a book, in a critical thinking book, of what an appeal to authority fallacy is. That's how textbook is. So, I know you all are feeling a little jealous of my spectacular home coffee station. Let me tell you, it's not that much of an investment to make your own spectacular home coffee station. This thing was not very expensive. I think it was under $100. And everything else you can just get at the store. Like cups and lids. Milk if you're out of powdered creamer like I am right now. I get these skewer sticks and break them in half to be stirrers. Fresh, hot, percolated coffee. Now, percolation, I think, is a better way to make coffee than drip. You might say, but what's really the difference, Eric? Doesn't the water drip through the coffee in both instances? Well, yes. But the difference, as far as I can tell, is that with drip coffee, it goes through the coffee slower, but just one time. With percolated coffee, the water goes through the coffee a lot faster, but more than one time. So, why does that make a big difference? I don't know, but it does make a difference. I think percolated coffee is a lot better than drip coffee. And now, if you want to disagree with me on this point, I will agree to disagree. We do not have to agree about percolated and drip coffee. If you prefer drip coffee over percolated coffee, I can see that your position on that has equal validity to my own. even though we're in contradiction. That's the sort of thing that it's okay to be in contradiction about. You're not wrong if you disagree with me about percolated and drip coffee. Okay? Well, the thing about percolated coffee here, Lamb, is that it gets stronger over time. So it by the time because of the way we use it, right? It's like I'll make a pot of coffee in that thing that's supposed to last 3 full days. Uh, and by the end of the third day, it's pretty strong, right? But unlike drip coffee, it doesn't get gross from sitting. Like if you keep your drip coffee warm in the pot, then it gets grosser, right? But percolated coffee, when it's on warming mode, it doesn't get grosser at all. It tastes like diner coffee. This must be how diners make coffee, you know? And you always wonder, like, how come the coffee, I can never get coffee that tastes like it does at Denny's or whatever? I bet they percolate it. I'd like to involve percolation in more aspects of my life than just coffee. Where else can I percolate something? Have I ever seen a ghost or alien? Well, no. I've never seen a ghost or alien, but I've had a couple of weird kind of paranormally experiences. And they don't convince me of anything. I think he's a dissembler, Carlos Paella. I think he is a dissembler. He doesn't want to say anything that you can untangle. This is what I think of him as a writer. I don't think I've ever watched him debate anybody. I'm assuming he debates like his writing. He's a dissembler. And his goal is to not make sense, but to sound like he's making sense somehow. You just need to figure it out more. I think ghosts evolved the ability to move through walls to better escape predators. I think so too, Money. I think so too. You're making a very cogent point here. He basically just calls out everyone else. Well, I mean, if that's what he's doing, then the debate's been inadequately structured. A debate needs to either affirm or negate a resolution or a plan. The resolution can be something stupid like capitalism is good, but it should be it should be constructed a little more carefully than that. Um, Regardless, if both people are trying to do their appropriate role in the debate, then you don't have that kind of problem, right? So that's not a debate then. That's just two people talking past each other. Yeah, I'm not a fan of two two dogmatic personalities talking past each other. I'm not a fan of talking past each other at all. The whole point of a debate is clash on point. Clash on point. That's the whole fucking engine of a debate. If you're not clashing on point, you're not doing any discursive work with your so-called debate. You guys are making me depressed about the state of the world. I wonder what Rachel's timetable is. Is she asleep again? Yeah, I know. That's why I think he's evil. I think he's an ENTP who's amoral and doesn't care that he's not doing any discursive work. And he just does his thing so he can bang co-eds and buy coke. That's what I think about Zizek. Let's see if Rich is asleep or not. Shh, be very quiet. Are you awake? I see. Or what time do you want to leave today? Yeah, is that possible? All right, cool. So we'll plan to leave around then. Well, that's nice. Didn't really expect that. I expected to go in and hear her fast asleep. Yeah, that's fine. I was just wondering if, like, I was trying to figure out my morning, you know. He's amoral, is what he is. He doesn't care that he's not engaging important things that matter on a big picture level in a responsible way. He's not addressing how and why he's not American, but for example, how we Americans should implement a healthy, successful citizen democracy. He's just complaining about shit and doing so in convoluted ways that don't make any sense. Everything you need to know about, oh, he was born in the US? Okay, fine. Everything you need to know about Zizek can be conveyed in how you use him in a debate round. He's just used as a time suck. You put a block of his gobbledygook down, you tag it however you want, and you make your opponents try to answer that nonsense. Oh, I don't know who Vivek is. I don't know who that is. Okay, look, I, I'm not in this case. You're asking me what I think of Zizek as a debater. I'm telling you what I think about him as an arguer in general, and concluding things about what kind of person he is accordingly. Right? if you if your argumentation is gobbledygook and you're selling tickets to your anti-capitalism um, lectures at colleges, I mean, why wouldn't you call out that hypocrisy? I would. He's horrible. I've never heard of this Vivek guy. You think Zizek is an ENFP? He could be. If he's an ENFP, then he's not evil, he's just dumb. But the way he argues seems to be avoiding TI critique more successfully than an ENFP would. It's like you have to work to get through it. Oh, that's a lot of books to have. Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to check it out. My eyes just read what I expected to read, I guess. My bad. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that guy. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. Rachel's gonna start always pointing out hypocrisy. That's good. I wouldn't go after somebody's daughter. Yeah, I would never go after somebody's daughter. That's that's not cool, right? I'm interested in going after that individual person, their wrongnesses, and why they are not qualified, and not go. I'm not going to try to make ad hominem attacks, right? Yeah, I'm critiquing Zizek, and you could say I'm I am critiquing the man, but I'm not critiquing the man as part of my explanation as to why we should say he's wrong. If I were saying we should think Zizek is wrong because he's immoral, then that would be an ad hominem attack, right? Not an attack, an ad hominem fallacy. But what I'm saying is he's wrong on a separate point, unrelated. He's also immoral. So in that regard, I'm just critiquing him personally. It's not an ad hominem fallacy because I'm not utilizing my critique of him to establish that he's wrong about something. Important distinction to make. Okay, thanks for being here. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Love you all. Talk to you later.